Hey friends, it's Awkwardly Random with Cinthya and Michelle, where we talk about random topics.
Anything and everything awkward is on the table, so let's dive right in.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Awkwardly Random with Cinthya and Michelle.
Woo! We're back with another episode.
We're back. Yes, we're back with another episode, the last one of 2022, but not the last one ever. We're going to keep it going in the coming year.
Yep.
We hope, as per usual, that y'all are all doing well. We are going to have a packed episode as also per usual, and yeah, excited.
Me too.
How are you doing? How's everything? Are you back in Milwaukee with your fam?
Yes, I am here in Milwaukee. I just got here last night. The reason that I got here so early is because there is like a winter storm advisory. And so I was technically supposed to get here on Friday, but was able to work remotely the following days. Leading up to Friday. So that's pretty good. So I'm here in Milwaukee at my house. As you can see in the background, if you're watching it on video, you can see these colorful curtains in the kitchen that we have. We have a really bright green paint going on. So it's nice to be home. Yeah, I like being home, but it's also the holidays. It's a little different. Well, we're going to get into that, but it's nice to be here. I love being back home. I love being in Milwaukee. What about you?
Yeah.
How are you? What are you doing? What's up?
I'm good.
How's
What's
Madison?
new? Everything is not new. I have nothing new, basically, is what I'm trying to say. Everything's kind of the same. I do have the rest of this week off and next week off for the holidays.
Nice.
So a little mini vacay.
Yeah.
So that's nice. Yeah.
Wait,
so
this
that's
week
nice.
and next week?
Yes.
Wow.
So
that's
technically,
amazing. That's a break.
so yeah, yes. So technically, our offices are closed starting on Friday up until January 2nd. So we already have that off regardless, but I took off today and tomorrow and half of yesterday because I had the PTO, and I'm like, I don't want to lose these hours.
Yeah.
Because they don't roll over for the next year. So I'm like, let me just use them now. And I figured I'd make it a longer vacation. So I was off. Yeah. I did a half day yesterday, and then I had all of today and tomorrow off. And then we have our offices closed. So everybody's off next week.
That's
so
awesome.
that's super
really
nice.
good.
Según it's the first time that they have ever done this, where they close the offices completely for the entire week.
Wow.
So, yeah.
That's good. Yeah, I need a rest.
I joined at a good time, I guess.
Yeah, that's good.
And we were also supposed to get that storm that you were just talking about. So, I think Jasmine's also working from home tomorrow and Friday because of the storm that's coming. So everybody be safe if you have to commute still to work and to other places.
Yeah. When is it supposed to start? Like Wednesday night? Tonight?
I thought it was tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was tonight.
Yeah.
It's supposed to hit Chicago too. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's snow, but it's also mostly the temperature that's just going to be extremely cold. Colder than usual.
Yeah.
So, yeah. We hope everybody stays warm and safe out there.
Yeah, we hope so. Let's get into our awkwardly random question, and then we'll get into the real world-ish segment.
Cool.
And then we'll talk about the holidays.
Okay.
So, Mish, what was one of the highlight moments in your life this past year, in 2022?
There's so many highlights.
Okay. I guess you could do more than one. Yeah.
But I guess getting sworn into the Minnesota State Bar
that's
was
awesome.
a highlight. That was cool. I think I'll always remember that and remember
that
that
was
date.
Cool.
Yeah, that was cool. I mean,
you sound so chill. That was cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's because I have a thing about institutions. You all know if you heard this podcast. Beans knows you've been my friend for the longest time. You know how I feel about institutions.
Yeah.
How I feel about the legal field. How I feel about the education system. And so yeah, it was cool. It took me a long time to do it, but I'm happy that it happened, and it happened this year. And I think that was one of the highlights. Although there were a lot of highlights in my life, but I guess that one was a big one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is a big one. Yeah, that's
What
awesome.
about you?
I think, let me think about this.
I was like, that was cool.
I think, yeah, you were so chill. Like, that was
Yeah.
cool.
It's
And then
just-
I don't even know how to respond because I'm like, should I be like chill like her, or should I like hype her up more? It's a big
I don't-
deal.
I mean, you can do whatever you want, but that's just how like I am, you know.
Yeah, but I'm also not trying to make you uncomfortable. So, I'm just trying to like feel the
No, yeah.
vibe, go
Oh,
with
no,
it.
Yeah, I'm good. With whatever your reaction is. It is technically my highlight, so you can react however you want.
Yes, it's a big deal, and it's something to be celebrated for sure. And I saw on your video that your mom was there and Jesus was there.
Mm-hmm.
So, and was Jackie there too?
Yep, Jackie was
Okay.
there.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, they
awesome.
only let 3 people in. As like,
Is this because of
guests.
COVID, or in general?
Yeah,
That's how it's up.
I think it's because of COVID and because of just the small space in general.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Cool. Let's see. I think my highlight would be that I moved back to Madison, and I was close to my family again, and I moved in with my partner, which this is the first. So it was a lot. It was a big deal for me.
Yeah.
So I think that was probably my highlight for this year. I had quite a few, but I think that one that was the first one that came to mind.
Yeah.
And because it's big
That's
for me.
awesome.
So yeah.
Yay! That is a really big highlight and change, and it's been good so far from what I know.
Yeah.
So that's amazing. And being close to family and your hometown, it's really nice.
I was just kept thinking about how like you and I moved out, but then also came back around the same time.
Yeah,
I mean,
but
yes,
I'm not
I
home.
think you have to Minnesota at least.
Yeah, but that's not my hometown or my home.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I've moved back to Minnesota.
To Minnesota, yeah. And you're still not super, super close, but you're closer than you were when you were in New York to your family. So
Yeah,
that's good.
For sure closer to home, but I don't I don't call Minnesota like my hometown. Or, I've only spent a few years there, so compared to like either California or Minnesota, that's not, now it's home because I live there, but you know what I mean. But yeah.
So Minnesota's your home, but is Milwaukee also your home?
Yeah. I definitely consider Milwaukee more of my home, or more of my hometown. Like, I consider LA and Milwaukee my hometowns. Because I've like felt like I grew up substantially there in both places. Yeah. Whereas Minnesota, I moved in 2017 and only spent like 4 years there and then moved out. So it doesn't really feel as substantial as Milwaukee or California.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. I feel like Chicago was substantial to me, even though it was a short period of time, because of all that I did when I was there and all that I experienced. So in a way, it's substantial, but it's not. I wouldn't say that was my home, I guess.
Anyway, I feel like people have different definitions of home. You know what I mean? Whatever means
which we talked about.
Substantial. Yeah, I think it all depends on people and however they define it and experience it. But yeah. But I'm still very happy that I think going back to your point that we did move back. I guess move in around the same time frame.
Yeah, well, I mean, and other things too. Like, we graduated UW-Madison at the same time. We finished our higher ed at the same time. Like, you finished law school, and I finished grad school at the same time.
Yeah,
we both graduated during the pandemic, and then it's interesting how that all kind of happened.
Yeah.
Oh, we're so cute.
Time frames.
For real. Okay. Well, we hope you all had some highlights too in your year. I'm sure there were some also some downs, right? Some lows, but we hang in there, and we hope we also celebrate the highs of the year.
Yeah.
So, let's get into real world-ish. What's been happening in the world? A lot has been happening. We probably won't get to every single thing, but these are just some of the things we're going to talk about today.
Okay.
So, do you want to go first, Mish?
Yeah, I'm on my tablet, so I took a screenshot of what I wrote. I guess we'll go back and forth on this.
Yeah.
First one, I wanted to address Twitch, who, rest in peace, passed away this week. Earlier this week, I think on a Tuesday.
Yeah.
Really sad. So Twitch was basically a legend in the dance community, in the hip hop community.
Yeah.
Most people saw him, making dance videos, but then also being on Ellen as, I think, the DJ. And so, yeah, that was really tragic news that happened. So it was kind of very shocking, just to learn about the details of what happened and how he passed. And I guess just bringing awareness to mental health is super important, especially now during the holidays too, where it can be really hard. And, you don't really know what people are going through, even though it seems like someone may have everything or maybe their life together. Like, you don't really know what everybody is going through. So something to think about. And yeah, that's the first thing.
Yeah. I don't really have anything to add. It was sad. I also was shocked with the news, and yeah, you really just don't know, right? So it's like always good to check in with your loved ones and just keep, I don't know, being there for each other, because one person could be happy on the outside and smiling all the time, and you just don't know what's happening internally, and you never will, right? Because you're not that person. But so it's always good to, I don't know, check in, just be there for each other.
Yeah, not just checking in, but also if you are experiencing loneliness or sadness, depression, also try to reach out. I think that it's super vulnerable and it's really hard to do that, but it's so important. Whether that's a friend, a family, a professional, I think it's important to talk about it. And I think even when people check in, I think it's easier for people to just say, oh, I'm okay, or I'm fine, but not really open up. So I'm really trying to encourage people who are going through that to open up. But I know that that's hard.
Yeah, I don't think there's like an easy answer for all of this.
Yeah.
Regardless, it's just really hard. And so, I don't know, I feel for his family as well, and even him, right, for what he was going through. And nobody, well, I don't know, right, who knew and who didn't know, but the fact that it reached that point, it's just, it's really sad. All right. So I added, well, I was listening to podcasts that a lot of them talked about Brittney Griner, who was a professional basketball player with the WNBA. She was detained in Russia on drug charges. Did you hear about this, Michelle?
Oh, yeah, I read about it.
Yeah, so she was a professional basketball player, and she was detained in Russia at a Russian airport. I think she was traveling back to play with her professional Russian basketball team that she played with during the off-season of the WNBA. And so upon what I was reading, she was sentenced to 9 years after being convicted of a drug charge. And she was accused of carrying hash oil, like a cannabis concentrate. I was reading that it's very commonly sold in like cartridges that you put in vape pens or vapes, whatever. And so I think she had a really small amount. I don't remember the exact amount that she had. And yeah, so she was arrested and she was detained and she was held there for like 10 months. And she was very recently on December 8th released. She became free through a like prisoner swap. So basically it was a trade between Russia and the US. Russia returned Brittney Griner to the US, and the U.S. returned Victor Bout, a very famous Russian arms dealer, to Russia. Victor Bout was convicted of conspiring, from what I was reading, to kill Americans, and he would deal a bunch of arms, and so he was sentenced to 25 years in prison, but he actually only served like half of it, not even, because of this prisoner swap. He became free, and he was returned to Russia. So there was a lot of people like hating on Brittney Griner or like disagreeing with this, because there's another person, another American held in a Russian prison. I think he's like a Marine or something, and I don't know. People were upset that why wasn't he released, but she was, and the U.S. was trying to have both of them, Brittney and I think his name was Paul something, and Russia wasn't agreeing to that. They were only agreeing to release Brittney Griner, and so I'm happy that she's back home with her family, with her wife. That must have been like a very traumatic experience. So I'm happy that she's back. I'm happy for her family. I mean, I don't know what else. People are mad about it, but like, she's free. Like, we should be celebrating that, in my opinion. So
yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, he was an ex-Marine. I think he was like, given like he had done some really bad thing to be released from being an ex-Marine, and so I think that people hadn't really talked about him until as they talked about him as a way to like kind of counteract why they freed Brittney. And so I think that there's different to look at what he did compared to her, like
to what she
same.
Not at all.
So I think people were just trying to compare the two, and I don't think that they're very comparable. So I'm happy that she was returned back and that she's here now.
Yeah. All right. Next.
Sorry, let me look at my list. Argentina wins the World Cup. Messi wins the World Cup.
OMG.
I wanted to sound like the commentator.
Argentina
Argentina es el campeón del mundo. And he starts crying.
He got so emotional.
And what's his name? Andres? I think his name is Andres.
I forgot. I don't know his name, but that video is circulating.
Yeah, he was like crying and stuff like that. And I guess this is also Messi's last World Cup in general. So I thought I did see that last game with Argentina and France, and it was a hella good game. It was intense. But it was just, I guess, a good game. I necessarily wasn't really rooting for, definitely Argentina over France. But mostly Messi. I just like Messi as a player overall.
Yeah, dude.
Did you watch it?
He's fucking great. And I watched like clips of it because I was in Chicago, so I would watch it from my phone like here and there when I had some time in the morning. Because I was still in Chicago and I was coming back that day, but it was really early. It was at 9 a.m. here at Central Time where I'm at, so I just like watched it from my phone for a little bit, but then I had to drive back, and Eric messages, through we have like a little family group chat, and everybody's just freaking out and like, oh my god, Argentina won, and he was rooting for them. I didn't really root for either of them, but I am happy for Messi because this was his last World Cup. I don't think he'd ever won one, and so that it's how cool, right? That, and not only him, right, but his whole team and the goalie Martinez. Oh, I forgot his first name. I'm so sorry. But the goalie, the Argentinian goalie, is freaking amazing. He did some really great saves. And so, like, it really was a team effort. And I understand that this is big for Messi. And Messi's one of the greatest players in the world. And also, I hope that we recognize the entire team was ridiculously good. Yeah. So
France did a good fight, did a good job in terms of specifically the player Mbappe. I think
Mbappe. Mbappe.
Pretty, he literally carried that team. To continue. But in general,
they came back that second half.
But they came back that second half. Yeah, they used that momentum. But yeah, that was interesting, pretty good.
Congrats, Argentina.
Congrats.
All right.
Next one.
All right. I'm gonna go to some bad news. So, I just read about this today, and I'm seeing this all over Instagram that the Taliban, they're banning women and girls from attending school, and it looks like they're imposing pretty strict and very conservative Islamic law, which involves stripping away women's rights to an education, and it's freaking scary and horrible, and yeah. I just want to make people aware that this is happening. I just read about it today, and there's a bunch of people posting it on Instagram too. So
yeah,
just wanted to bring that up too. It's horrible.
Yeah, it's horrible. I haven't heard about it or read up on it, but I should do that.
Yeah. Well, and then there's stories about women like literally getting ready to do some final exams or to do, because it's like towards the end of the school year, I guess, or something, or they're getting ready for something for school and they can't even finish. So these women are not able to get their degrees, not able to finish their schooling. Like that is a very horrible situation. So just something that I want to make people aware of, and we'll probably follow up on it as we get more information as well. But that sucks. All right, your turn.
I have so Biden signed into law what is called the Respect for Marriage Act earlier this December. And that basically means, I just know the basics of it, but basically it's a bill that codifies same-sex and interracial marriages. However, it doesn't guarantee the right to marry, but it does make other states recognize these marriages across state lines, and also provides the same federal protections or the same federal rights to same-sex and interracial couples as other couples, other married couples. So yeah, so a lot of people are saying, this is a good step forward, but also obviously it's not, because it's still not a right to marriage, but it is some sort of protection. So yeah, just wanted to talk about it. I think it's important to talk about.
This is good news. Obviously, there needs to be more done with this, but yes, this is good news. It was kind of like a preventative measure, especially, I think there was an opinion, right, by the Supreme Court that said they were going to rule on this later on or something, and so this was kind of a way to implement some sort of preventative measure and to protect the rights for those in same-sex marriages and interracial marriages or relationships. For me personally, it hits me, I guess, personally, and so this is good news. My mom was watching, live footage of Biden signing, and she texted me a message like, "I'm watching Biden sign a same-sex marriage into law." I'm like, "Okay, Mom."
That's cute.
A true ally. So anyway,
that's nice.
Yeah. So yeah, this is good. This is good news. Okay, everybody, that was it for the real world-ish segment. Like I said before, there's probably a lot that we didn't talk about or touch on, so let us know if there's something you want us to bring up in this segment. We'd love to hear your thoughts, and so just let us know. And we're going to get into the main topic. Christmas, the holidays.
Christmas, the holidays.
Okay.
I'm just repeating what you're saying.
You're singing it. I love it. You're singing it. Okay. Why are we talking about Christmas specifically?
Well, because it's basically in a few days. So that's why. Well,
and also we celebrate it.
We celebrate it. Yeah, we grew up celebrating it. Our families grew up celebrating it.
Yeah.
And we haven't really talked about that and our experiences and traditions and how like grieving during the holidays is a thing for us too, and also like religion aspects of it, and Santa Claus, not religious about it, but more commercial or consumerism part of it. So we're gonna dive into it in those different parts, in those different ways today. So yeah, so what does Christmas mean to you, Cynthia?
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Christmas, like usually this time of year, to me it means it's time that I can spend with my family, with my friends, with my loved ones. We engage in certain traditions together, and we just, get to spend that time together. Growing up, it was like going to church and stuff and doing las posadas, which we could get into, but I guess just to answer your question, like it just means spending time with my family and doing things together that we normally don't do during the rest of the year. So it's something to look forward to. And to me, it brings me joy. And I think now as I'm older and have experienced certain losses, it does bring some mixed emotions, and yes, some grief and some sadness. But I still hold on to some of that joy that I get from just being with people that I love. So it's a little bit of everything, but I do look forward to it every year.
Nice.
So what does it mean to you, Mish?
What does it mean? Sorry, it means to me just spending time with family. It is gonna be hard for me.
Yeah.
I mentioned my grandma passed away last year around on the 27th. So I'm going to try not to cry. So Christmas has always like meant a lot to me, but this year and last year it hasn't felt the same as previous years or how I grew up celebrating Christmas because of my grandmother. So last year, my grandma was actually passing away throughout the Christmas time and ultimately passed away on the 27th. And so Christmas looked a lot different for us last year, and this year it's also not the same because it's the first Christmas without my grandmother. And so it's been really hard for me in general. The past year has been really hard for me, and especially this month is really hard for me too because of it. But so right now it's just hard, and I don't feel how I felt when I was younger with Christmas, but I still try to find the happiness and the joy, but it is really hard. And that's something that I haven't really opened up to people about. And it's just hard. But I love this time of year in general. I've always loved this time of year. But yeah, it's just trying to live with the loss and the grief.
So first of all, thank you for sharing all of that and opening up. It is hard, and it's probably hard to talk about it too. I think there's this narrative or this idea that it's the most wonderful time of the year, and while yes, it can be very wonderful and joyous, it can also be one of the most difficult times of the year, the most painful. So that's okay. I think it's okay to make room for that, but while also looking forward to the holidays and finding the joy, like you said. I think there's space for all of those feelings. So but that doesn't make it any easier. I just want to validate that is okay to feel all those things throughout the entire time that you're celebrating. Yeah,
I agree. I think it's important to make room for that, and just I just know that now it's hard, but I know that it'll get better, hopefully. But I just know that right now it's hard. And sometimes I feel like I want to fast forward to when it's less painful or less, I don't know, just being back here home, it just brings back a lot of feelings and memories from last year and the years before. So it's hard to find that joy, but I'm trying. And I guess it's just me trying to be vulnerable with people, and that, it's not easy for everybody.
No, it's not.
So yeah,
and I feel like it could be hard for a variety of reasons. I think grief is one that is really hitting both of us, but I think there's different ways that people feel pain and stuff throughout, and it's hard. I think So I did ask Jasmine a little bit about what, Christmas means to her, and she opened up about her thoughts. She said I could share. She didn't give me details, but this is kind of what I thought I would just like kind of bring this up since we're talking about kind of how difficult it can be. For her, it was more of, it was typically a depressing time for her throughout most of her life because she wasn't surrounded by love, I guess. And this is with problematic relationships, familial and friendships, that it was just a really hard time for her, right? So she told me that she's looking forward to making new memories and finding out, and these are her words, right, what it means to really be loved during this holiday. So I think it's hard for people in many different ways. And in general, like I said, like it's important to make room for all of that and give yourself that time and space to be vulnerable the way you're doing it now, Michelle. Like I think it's good to, if you're comfortable, right, talking about it and processing it however you need to. So
yeah, that's nice that she opened up to you about that, what she went through and how she's feeling about it. And I mean, I'm pretty open and vulnerable to people close to me, so that's, I feel like I'm able to that with you, Beans. But the fact that this is being recorded and we're putting it on our podcast is another thing, which is about like, oh my gosh, I hate that I find it on the internet, but I guess the only few people who watch this will know. So that's fine.
Well, and we'll edit it if we need to, but we're here.
We're here.
We're here.
All right.
Okay. Let's talk about some traditions, favorite and least favorite. So, and this also could be hard to talk about because sometimes, you engage with in traditions with certain people and they're no longer in your life, right? In the way that they were before. And so talk about it however you want to talk about it. But do you have a favorite or least favorite tradition, Michelle?
Tradition, I don't know. Like, I guess.
Or like, did y'all do certain traditions, I guess?
Yeah, we did. I mean, we went to church, but with us, we always went to church every Sunday. But it's just this time would just be on the 24th. We wouldn't do the same thing as like in Mexico posadas, like the 7 days before Christmas, like my mother grew up doing. But we did do like posadas, or like I talked about this or maybe it was last year's podcast episode. But like I said, I used to be very involved in the Catholic Church. I used to be a monaguilla, which just meant like an altar helper at the church. And so with that, we were very involved. And so we would, as a tradition and as a family and through church, would do posadas whenever they had them. And I would be involved in the posadas. We would also do like the reenactment of the nacimiento, and I would be an angel. Or we would dress up like, doing the posadas. So, in terms of traditions, it would be that. Was it my favorite? I wouldn't say my favorite, but I wouldn't say it's my least favorite. It was still nice. I always thought like being in those spaces were healing in a way for me, just to be around community. But I guess my favorite tradition was being together as a family.
Yeah.
That least favorite, probably us singing, because nobody in my family can really sing. So it was just funny. Maybe it's not the least, but it's just like funny to hear everybody singing like really off pitch or really loud or really. But it's nice too. So I wouldn't say it's least, but it's always nice to see everybody singing and participating. So yeah. What about you? Least favorite or most favorite?
Well, most favorite, yeah, right. Most favorite, obviously, is, well, at least for me, being with my family, like I said before, and like I always looked forward to like spending time together. We would do like the posadas, and we would sing, and that was always hilarious. Like in the sense that, like how you said, people can't sing, so. But it was cool to participate in it, and everybody just had a good time, and nobody shied away from singing. So that was also really cool that like everybody participated, even the kids, and yeah, it was really cool. So we got to do the posadas. We would do El Niño Dios, like we would like dress El Niño Dios, and then we would put him in a little basket with a blanket and put some candies around, and then we would go around and le damos un besito, and then we pick up a candy, and then we lay him under the tree. So like there were certain things like that I looked forward to. Yeah. We always did like potluck style, right? Everybody brought stuff and would have pozole, tamales, ponche. Like those were like the main foods that we really ate during that time of year. So that also kind of like the food part of it was also pretty cool, and I always look forward to that. So
yeah, it's delicious.
I don't really have like a least favorite. I guess maybe because I'm not as religious as I was before. Maybe we would rezar todo el rosario, and it was quite long. As a child, I always felt like, oh my gosh, this is taking really long. Like the rosario. I don't know, man. I don't know. Maybe I was a problematic child for thinking that, but
no,
it was just really long. Subjective. But I guess I would look forward to other things more than that.
Yeah, for sure. I don't think any child. Well, maybe different childs. I also thought that the rosario took a long time. But for us, now that I'm older, I saw that it only takes about less than 30 minutes.
Yeah, it actually really isn't that long.
Yeah. Now that I'm older, I'm like, oh, does it really take that long? I don't know why. Yeah. I felt like it was taking forever, but yeah, I felt that too.
And then as I got older, I actually really got to learn it and got to really participate in it a little bit more and learn more of the meaning and stuff like that. So now, you know, as I got older, I appreciated it, I guess, a little bit more, or maybe didn't feel like it was that like as long as I thought. But when I was really young, I was like, what is happening? This is taking forever, and it really wasn't. It really wasn't. That's just like my little inner child thinking.
No, yeah, it's just a lot of repetition, but yeah,
it is a lot of repetition. Yeah. Okay, wait, I gotta ask you, favorite Christmas movie?
I would say The Grinch and Jingle All the Way.
I also put Jingle All the Way.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. Nice. That was my only one that I put.
Nice.
If y'all haven't seen it, you need to watch it.
It's good.
If you're into Christmas movies and stuff. But it came out in the 90s. And it has Arnold Schwarzenegger and Anyway, so it's funny.
I'm sure people have seen it already. It's been out.
Yeah. But it's been out for a long time.
It's really good. I think out of all the Christmas movies, that one's really good. It has action, but then also like the Christmas spirit, I guess. And yeah, it's really good. I like it.
Yeah, it has a good message. So now I kind of want to watch it again. And I don't think I don't know if I should say this on the podcast, but fuck it. I don't think I've ever seen The Grinch.
What?
I know.
You've never seen The Grinch?
See, this is why I hesitated. I've never seen The Grinch.
How have you never not seen The Grinch?
You know, it never appealed to me.
Seen it. What do you mean appeal to you?
I don't know. I was never interested.
No child around you has other people watched The Grinch?
Well, Liana's obsessed with it.
And you've never seen it with Liana?
I have never seen it with Liana, no.
What?
We've never seen it together.
And you're just not going to watch it now? Or, you just sound so proud.
I'm open... No, I was hesitating to say this.
I'm never going to see it.
Okay, I never said I was never going to see it. I was just
it never appeals to me.
Oh my gosh. Look, listen. This is why I hesitated to even say this.
Do you think you're too good for The Grinch or something?
Oh,
is that how you really
God.
feel?
What? Mish, what is happening?
Do you have something against Jim Carrey or something?
Oh, shoot, that's Jim Carrey?
Yeah.
You like how I didn't know that either? Oh my God. So, yeah, no, it's just I just never watched it. It took me a long time to watch Elf. Even that one I took a while to watch.
So how did you end up watching Jingle All the Way?
Well, that was old. That was when I was a kid. I watched it and I was like, oh my God, I love it.
I mean, Grinch came out when we were in middle school.
Oh, really? Well, there's different, the original, right? Isn't there different versions?
Yeah.
Or are you talking about the Jim Carrey?
There's a cartoon version, and then there's a Jim Carrey version. Have you seen the cartoon one?
No.
I think that one came before the Jim Carrey one. I don't know.
I haven't
Either
seen
way, and you never want to watch it, or are you open to watching it?
I am open to watching it, and I would like to because Liana loves it, and I know a lot of people love The Grinch, so I do want to watch it. And hopefully I can watch it with her. That'd be better. But no, I haven't.
I'm so surprised. I'm like shocked. Has Jasmine seen The Grinch?
Yeah, she loves The Grinch. I think. Actually, I don't know. I'm sure she's seen it. I don't know how much she loves it, but I'm sure she's seen it.
I prefer The Grinch over Elf.
Okay. I thought Elf was hilarious. I thought it was funny.
It's hilarious. It's just a different vibe, though.
Yeah.
Like, Elf is cool. Elf is funny. But The Grinch is more like the warm feels.
Okay.
That's just what I think.
Okay,
moving on.
Let's move on. So.
Okay, comment below if you have not seen The Grinch. Comment below. Or
oh my gosh,
you should watch The Grinch. Okay, let's move on.
Sounds good. Okay, favorite holiday food.
Holiday food. What's yours?
Well, anything my family made, really, because my family's cooking is bomb. But I really did look forward to tamales because I'm a big fan of tamales, and I very rarely eat them because. To make them, it's like an all-day thing. It's a process. So we don't really make them very often, or at least my family doesn't make them very often, and so I look forward to it.
Mm-hmm.
What about you?
I love tamales too. That's my favorite overall, and I really like ponche. Ponche is amazing.
I don't know how I feel about ponche.
Really?
Oops.
I'm just kidding. What do you?
I'm like constantly disappointing you today. I don't know.
So for people who don't know, ponche.
Oh yeah.
Basically a warm, or it's a hot beverage. It's like a hot tea, basically.
Yeah.
And it has like different fruits in it.
It has fruits in it.
Yeah, like apples, tamarinds, some other stuff in it, and like sugar canes.
Mm-hmm.
And I would love to get like a nice warm cup of ponche and the sugar cane and just like biting off it. It's so good.
So is that what you bite off of, the cinnamon thing? I thought it was a different...
Not the cinnamon.
Or not the cinnamon. The sugar... What'd you call it?
Sugar cane. Yeah. The caña.
Yeah. Caña! That's sugar cane? Oh, duh.
I'm pretty sure. Yes.
Oh my gosh. Sugar cane is caña, everybody. Public service announcement.
And Beans does not like ponche. Got it. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm not a fan of the flavor.
You're not a fan of it? You don't like it?
No. I don't really like rompope either.
Oh, I don't know. I don't like rompope either.
That's eggnog, right?
But,
I think that's eggnog.
No, I thought rompope was liquor.
What?
Isn't it?
I think you can put liquor in your rompope.
So what kind of liquor?
We need to fact check this.
I don't know. That's how you know I don't like it or drink it.
Rompope? I thought that was eggnog. Rompope. Oh, shoot. You're right. Oh, wait. Rompope Mexican eggnog. But then it also says it's a cream liqueur.
Yeah, I thought it was liquor. I think it's both. Eggnog with liquor.
Oh. Yeah. I think that's what it is.
Yeah.
Okay, so either way, I was not a fan, and I am not a fan.
Same, not a fan. But in general, my family didn't really do traditional dishes for the holidays.
Yeah.
It would vary. It would just depend on what we would want to eat. So, like, we would do, like, one year we did duck. One year we did borrego. One day we, like, another... And not one day, I mean, like, each Christmas, you know? Or we would do, like, one year we did tacos. Like, all kinds of tacos. De asada, tripa, lengua.
Yum.
Stuff like that. So, and one year we did Chinese food.
Nice.
So we literally... Like, literally, it was like, well, what do y'all want to eat? All right, we'll do that. And
Yeah,
then sometimes
that's
we'll
cool.
do like a potluck style.
Yeah.
But sometimes when we want to, so like this year we're gonna do a potluck style. But for New Year's we're gonna do like tamales. But yeah, what are y'all doing for this year?
I think we're doing pozole, pero pozole verde. For anybody who has not had it, it's delicious.
Do y'all always do verde?
No, we usually do
had it by you.
Oh, really? We've made it a few times, but we usually make rojo.
Yeah, we don't. My family's never made verde. We always do rojo.
Yeah.
So I've had it with a friend. I don't know if it was you or somebody else that I tried the verde with.
I want to say, because I for some reason I'm picturing us sitting at the table at the duplex. Do you remember the duplex my parents used to own?
Yeah, I feel like that's where I had it.
Yeah, and they made pozole verde. And I do remember you coming over. I do remember you being there. So I think, that must have been with me. Yeah. So,
it's good, though. It's really good.
I really like it. So my mom said she's going to make that, and she's going to make ponche. And I think we're going to bring like a blueberry pie. We as in like me and Jasmine. I think we're going to bring some wine and blueberry pie. And I don't know. We'll see what my sister brings. And yeah, it'll be a little bit of a potluck style. Basically how we do it every year. People just bring stuff.
Nice.
Okay.
That'll be good.
Yeah. Let us know what y'all eat during the holidays, if you have any traditional foods or not, or if you have a least or favorite food. Let us know. If you celebrate. We'd love to hear about your celebrations. All right, let's talk a little bit about holiday stress. We already touched on it. Yeah. But I think it's good to talk about the holiday stress encompasses a lot of things. Yeah. And so
it can be different things.
Yeah, and it could be different things. So let's talk about stress around presents / financial stresses. Yeah. I was in kind of a crunch financial situation during the pandemic. And I think a lot of people were. And so I was really stressed out the past few years because I felt like, oh shit, how am I going to afford all this? But, luckily my family has never been the family to be like, you have to buy presents. Like, it was never an obligatory thing. It was like, we're here to just be together. We can get presents. We don't have to, or we can set like a small budget, right? And just do like a secret Santa so you don't have to buy presents for everybody. So, we found ways to make it work. And I think, was it last year, 2 years ago, I ended up making candles from scratch. I learned from my friend Yolanda. Shout out Yolanda. She taught me how to make candles. So I just made candles and like, I customized them. Like, I drew little things on their little candle glasses for some of my family members. So that's kind of what I gifted, and it saved me a lot of money, but it was still, meaningful. So there's ways to work around it, but I just remember feeling incredibly stressed on the financial aspect of it. Yeah, that's real. I think we all, even though I know family members say, oh, you don't have to get me anything, or I still feel like we sometimes feel that obligation to get something. So I definitely know that's real. But definitely felt financial stress about it. But at the same time, my family, similar to yours, never obligated. And also, my family's never really present people during the holidays. Like, 1 or 2 presents was kind of like 2 presents, it's like too much sometimes. I don't know, like in general, like my family's not really about presents at all. Like the Christmas time I think that comes from like the way that my mother and my grandmother were raised, of like presents weren't really the center of Christmas. It was more for them a religious activity. So they didn't get any presents for Christmas for them growing up at all. And so for us, it was more about spending time together, going to church. So I never, and there's been Christmases where, especially last year, we're like, oh, like we're not going to get presents we're not going to get presents like
because my grandma was passing away, and so
Right.
it was really difficult. And there have been other years before where it's like, oh, money's tight, and my family's been pretty open about just financial situations that we've been throughout life, where we'll be like, similar to you, we'll do like a I don't know, like a secret Santa. I think we did that one year, but in general, I never really felt pressure to give a gift. And if I didn't have the means to do it, I really wouldn't. I wouldn't give a gift. And I would probably only do like immediate family members. I think usually is that what we do for our family, or we'll straight up be like, hey, like this year is tough. Like we're not going to give presents really. But if you want to, it's always like, if you want to go ahead, but never really like a pressure to do it.
Yeah.
So I never went out of my way to go in debt for presents or anything like that.
That's good that you set that limit. I think that can be hard.
Yeah,
to make
and
that
like
decision, but yeah.
I don't. Yeah, well, for us, it doesn't feel hard because it's not about the presents. Is my point. Even though it may feel like it. Maybe for the kids, we definitely get them presents, so they, get presents. Because I love seeing little kids get presents, but in terms of like the adults, it's not. I don't think it's a big deal, but it may feel weird, or if I say that like sometimes for Christmas we don't do presents, and that may sound weird of other people, but we technically sometimes have done no present Christmases, and it's been great.
Yeah, that's awesome. I guess I was thinking more of like, I don't know, I feel this pressure sometimes to have to get something, and like, but you don't have to, like, this is my tip, right? Like, you don't have to break your bank to do this, and you can make things for people if you really do want to give a gift, right? Like, there's other ways to give people presents without having to spend money or spend a lot of money. Yeah. And then there's also that situation where if someone buys you something or gets you something and you didn't get anything for them, that can be kind of awkward. So I feel like there's a lot of stress anyway around presents in general, at least for me. But I don't know.
I think the thing behind, I definitely agree. I think you shouldn't break the bank if you can't give presents. There's other alternatives that you can do. Either maybe like thrifting things. I'm sure you can find really cool things at thrift stores that you can repurpose, or you can make things like you said, beans, or you can do like a gesture, or there's different things that you can do to show people that you love them. That doesn't necessarily mean spending your money. And I definitely understand the whole awkward that somebody gets you something and you don't get them anything thing. But with that, I do think is that, like, I feel like I hope that people don't get presents for other people expecting that they'll get something in return, because then that's not really a gift. Like,
it's a transaction.
It's a transaction. Or so like for me, I was raised to, or like that if I'm giving something, I'm not expecting anything in return. And if people make it awkward, then that's really on them. And if, like Cinthya and say, like, if you really want to give something to someone, like, definitely do it. And if they don't give you a gift back, then you should be all right with that,
Yeah. Well, that's the whole definition of a gift, isn't it? Like, it's not an exchange. It's not a transaction. It's a gift. It's a present. You're gifting something to someone. And there shouldn't, I agree with you. There shouldn't be this expectation that you're going to get something in return. Yeah. So, but I guess, and then I feel like a sense of guilt, but that's internalized. Like, I shouldn't feel that way, and yet I do, and that's something to work on, obviously. But if someone doesn't happen very much, but if I do get a gift and I didn't get that person a gift, I'm like, oh shit, I'm so sorry. But I shouldn't, right? Because like I shouldn't feel that way, and they shouldn't be expecting anything in return. Yeah. That sounds kind of mean, but it's truth.
It's not mean. How is it mean?
Okay, you're right. It's my internalized guilt coming out. I'm sorry.
It's okay. I mean, if people think it's mean, that's mean. Whatever people think. But I personally don't feel like it's mean. That's all I'm saying.
I appreciate that validation. That makes me feel better, actually. For real. All right. I also want to talk about stress around family members. Oh my gosh.
This is real. This is another level of stress. There's like financial, and then there's like relationship, personal stress. And yeah, certain family members can be toxic or just say unnecessary things or are nosy and they shouldn't be nosy. Or yeah, there's a lot.
Yes.
So how do you handle that?
Well, I don't have a specific answer, but I can tell you what I did when I was growing up.
Mm-hmm.
So I had those like aunts and uncles that would ask me questions that I didn't want to answer, that I didn't feel comfortable answering about my personal life and things like that, or they would make certain comments, almost like backhanded compliments, or almost like
Wow,
just the intention, the vibe wasn't good there. So I would
Mm-hmm.
stick with my cousins, and we would all just kind of hang out, like as the younger kids, right? We would all hang out like in a different room, or we would go play somewhere. We would play games or watch stuff or hang out, right? So I didn't really engage, or I tried hard to minimize any
Mm-hmm.
interaction and engagement with the members that I didn't want to talk to. And I
Mm-hmm.
didn't try to start any conversations with them. Obviously, if they started conversations with me, I'll respond, but I didn't
Mm-hmm.
try to, like, I really tried to steer clear from that.
Mm-hmm.
So that was kind of a way for me to kind of protect my energy and my peace and my happiness, is I spent the time intentionally with the people that I wanted to spend the time with during
Yeah.
that entire gathering. Because we would have like all my aunts and uncles and cousins, and like everybody would come together for Christmas. And this was years ago. It hasn't been that way for a while now, but
Yeah.
at that time, yeah, we would all come together. And so I would just like pick who I want to hang out with and hang out with my cousins and try to
Mm-hmm.
minimize, yeah, interactions with certain uncles or aunts or other adults or people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good tip.
You?
Good. Not so much with my family. It's always been like my two aunts and uncles gathering with my mom in Milwaukee. So it's always been fairly small. But I mean, obviously, some nosy questions. But I wouldn't mind because they weren't. They were curious. But if it was like, if I thought something was rude, yeah, I guess I would just distance myself as similar to you, or just ignore the question, or I would be slick sometimes and just revert it back to their child.
Oh dang!
Who is older than me, or because
Yeah.
I'm the young, like we're the young, me and Jackie are the youngest of the cousins.
Oh, okay.
So me, Jackie, and Janet, to
Yeah.
clarify, are the youngest of the cousins. So I think that, and I've mentioned this before, that now that, you know, we're in our 20s and late 20s, going to be 30 next year. And so I feel like we're still treated as children. And that pisses me off because I'm an adult. I'm an attorney. I have a full-ass, like, career and job, and I've lived on my own for the longest time. I pay my own bills. I pay, you know what I mean? So to be treated as I am still a child pisses me off. And so I definitely talk back. And to me, I think now I do that because earlier when I was younger, I used to do that, but now I feel like I have more of a leverage just because of based off of my life and my experiences and what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So now I still talk back, or sometimes I just, you know, ignore them too. So
Yeah.
it's hard. I think it's hard, especially when, I think now I don't do much of that now because of, you know, what happened with my grandma and being with family. I think we've all just kind of tried to remain as close as we can because of what happened.
Yeah.
But I still sometimes do feel like I get treated as a child. And I mean, I speak out about it. You know, my mom encourages me to stand up for myself, so I'm gonna do that.
You do what you gotta do.
Yeah. So I know it's hard. I know people may not feel comfortable, you know, speaking out and standing up for yourself. So maybe if you have another cousin there, another family there that, you know, has your back, or maybe you can step aside with, that's really good to do. Or maybe just not even going. I know some people really do set that boundary of not visiting their family members because of how toxic it is and how they make them feel. And so I know in certain situations, you know, you create whatever boundaries you think is necessary for you. And, you know, I think this time especially the Christmas time or just the holidays in general should be a time of like love and peace. And if your family's not providing that for you, then, you know, create your own chosen family and do something with them. There are different options. But for me in general, I usually do the talking back, which maybe I should not do, be a little bit more peaceful. But I mean, it just depends on my mood. Sometimes I'm like, yeah, you want to go? Let's go. And sometimes I'm like, nah, I'm good.
But then you're also showing them that they can't get away with that. Like, that's not okay, you know? So, that's good, Mish. I think that's cool that you did that. I would just give, like, really brief, like, I would be short with them and then just kind of, like, avert, let's go to a different, like, room, avoid, you know? And so, like, I just wasn't, like, I guess I've always been that kind of person. Like, I don't want to deal with it, and I'm just gonna walk away.
Yeah, and it's hard. I mean, sometimes I don't do that. Sometimes, because I think it definitely does affect other people. Like, whether that's tension or words, how words are being used or how things are said, that definitely doesn't affect the two people having the conversation. It also affects others around. And so I'm also, now that I'm older, mindful of that, and also like choosing more of my battles in a way, or maybe choosing to address that not more as like reacting to it, but more figuring out how I can address it with that person later on. So yeah, I guess I'm more strategical now as an adult instead of just responding right away.
I know. And I think I've also, growing up in the Mexican culture, right, you don't speak back to adults, right? I was, you know, us being seen as like the kids, the younger generation, you're not supposed to talk back. So, you know, you have to be respectful. But like a lot of the times they would say problematic things. And then what? Like you just bite your tongue and just, you know, and so I also have had to kind of battle with that internally. Like, how do I respond? And then how do I, like respond in a way that's, I guess, not rude, but also to the point of like, you can't be saying this stuff. Like, this is not okay, you know? So,
and I think there's ways to do that. I definitely think that there's a way to have that conversation, to not only for you to like have a conversation, but for them also to understand and to respect you as, you know, you and your
as a
opinions
person.
And as a person. But that definitely is hard when in our culture we're supposed to respect our elders and the people older to us. But that sucks. But I'm really glad that with my family, we were allowed to have these difficult conversations. And throughout the years, I've definitely learned how to have those conversations in a better way, where I'm not like yelling, because you know, when you're not used to maybe as a child regulating these emotions, like you have to yell, you have to do these things. But now that I'm older and I've had to be in these environments with my family sometimes, or with certain family members where I felt like I needed to speak up, now I'm able to do it in a way where we can have a conversation and we're not yelling, but you know, we're still not agreeing, but you're still going to respect what I have to say, even though like I may be younger than you, but you know, I still know what I'm talking about in my own opinion, you know? So it's hard, man, but I'm glad that we can do that now as an adult. And still like grow into that somehow.
And it's good that you know that about yourself, Michelle, that you know that you are older now, right? And you can regulate those emotions, like you say. And, you know, for anybody who is still working on that, right? On regulating themselves and responding in certain ways. Like you said, it's okay not to go if it's too much. And if you feel like that's going to cause too much disruption to your peace and your joy and your right. So like, you got to set that boundary, and it's for you and for you only. So do what you got to do.
Or maybe you also, if you go, you don't have to respond. Like you can definitely just avoid, ignore, like surround yourself with certain people at that gathering that you know have your back. So yeah, there's different ways to go about it, but I definitely know that it can be hard.
Well, and that makes me think, I guess you can also say, like, you can tell the person, I don't want to talk, I would rather not talk about this, or, this is making me feel uncomfortable, right? Like, instead of like completely avoiding, if you feel like that you don't want to do that, you can also avert by being direct about it. And letting them know, hey, like, I'm not trying to talk about this,
Yeah.
So.
And hopefully you don't have to get into these conversations or things like this during holidays. Hopefully it's more of a party and there's music and...
Yeah, hopefully it's great and full of happiness and joy.
Yeah, but it's family, so energy. We don't know.
Yeah. All right.
Yay!
So, let's talk about...
How do you deal with grief and loss during the holidays? I don't know. I'm going through it, as you can see. But I guess honoring your emotions and honoring whatever you're feeling with that grief. I also don't like when people say time heals all wounds, because what does that even mean? It's like, how much time? Because it's been almost going to be a year, and it's still as painful as it was last year. And so I don't know, like, I think I'm just more mindful now of how I speak with other people who have also experienced loss similar to mine, and just being more mindful with how I talk to people. And it's hard. I don't know. I'm still going through it, but I guess surrounding yourself with people who can validate your emotions without trying to...
That's a good,
without having... So I like when I can share my emotions without having somebody try to change my emotions. So, like, let me feel what I have to feel, because this is what I'm feeling. And in order for me to get better or heal, I have to feel these out. And so it's been really nice to be surrounded by people who do that for me. So if you can do that, that is great.
So let's talk about a little bit about religion, because for a lot of people, Christmas is a religious holiday, a religious activity. We got some guests in the house.
Yeah, people are coming in and out of the house. Jockey's here.
Okay, no worries.
All right.
Do you see it, Michelle, as a religious activity?
I definitely grew up with seeing Christmas as a religious activity. I still kind of do, but I think that gets into the larger topic of religion. I consider myself to believe in God, to believe in the universe, my ancestors, that I'm protected and guided, but that stems through God. And the way that I look at it is not necessarily in an organized religion way, as in like the institution of Catholicism, but more of like a spiritual connection that I have.
Yeah.
So that's how I view it. So yeah, I definitely feel like during this time, because I was raised going to church basically every Sunday, like I mentioned, and on Christmas Eve going to church. This year we're going to church. It'll be like a church dedicated to my grandma on Christmas Eve also, because she passed away on the 27th. So we're also gonna honor her that day in a way. So yeah, I think the reason why for me I view it in a way as a religious activity is because that's how I grew up. But then also I would like to believe that there's something bigger than us humans. And I've had a lot of experiences in my life where I felt like I was protected or guided by God, and felt that, and would like to believe it's God. And so, yeah, I think that that's something that I'm trying to get closer to now that I'm older, because I feel like with religion this is getting into a rant, but with religion I went through the experience of being religious, and then not trying to be religious, and then now finding my way going back to my spirituality in a way that's different to when I was younger. And so when I talk about like my spirituality and my, I guess, relationship with God is like more of how I was raised to see God, in terms of, I think when people think of religion and God, they think of like punishment, shame, and embarrassment, and like going to hell if you aren't a good person. But I don't see it that way. Like, the God that I know is like unconditional love. Like, regardless of what you do or how you are, like you're always loved. Even if you don't believe in God, you're loved by him. Like, that's the type of environment, that's how I grew up knowing God, is that like nunca estás sola, like I'm protected, like I will always be loved, and things like that. It's all I know about God is love, and that's what I know about that in terms of how I view it. And so when it comes to Christmas and this, especially Christmas and this time of the year, I associate my family with love. And like I mentioned, like God is love to me. And because of that, I associate them together. I still don't know exactly what that means for me as an adult. But I do find like comfort in that I am protected and that I am like guided in a way, and that I'm being looked out for, and that I am surrounded by love, and I want to be surrounded by love, and I want to provide love to those around me. So that's how I view it.
Wow, that's so beautiful.
Yeah. So it's a little, not your conventional way of like seeing religion and Christmas.
Yeah.
But that's how I view it.
Well, and I think I can relate in a lot of ways, because I also see it that way. We used to go to church and all these things, but I've developed my own relationship with God, which is like you, similar to you, filled with love, right? And I have more of a spiritual connection to Christmas. I don't feel like I need to go to church to be able to have a relationship with God. I've long ago separated those two things, and I think I needed to do that for myself and for my peace, and so I see the religious part of Christmas and the spiritual part of Christmas, and I think that's part of the magic that I feel and why I look so much forward to the holidays and around this time of year, and I get to be, embrace that with my family and with people that I love and care for. So, and and I think maybe that's also why I love being around my family, because I'm surrounded by love. Like, that's just what it is. And like, as you hear you explain that, I'm like, as we dig a little bit deeper, that's kind of like the undertone of like, my family is love to me. So that's maybe probably why I also just love being around them, because I love them. They love me. We are just, I don't know. We just, it's just pure, genuine love. Yeah. And that's a really good feeling to have. Yeah. And so it's, so I look forward to it, and I have a spiritual connection to it, and I do feel the magic of Christmas with, whatever that means to to people, but to me, that's kind of part of it.
I'm sorry.
The magic.
I'm sorry. I don't know why I laughed when you said the magic of Christmas, but yeah.
Because everybody says that. It's such a cliche almost. Well, I don't know.
I don't say
but
that,
I think
but
it's like... people say that. You said it, Mish.
Like in a joking way, bro. You think I'm a real for real go around saying magic of Christmas? Maybe.
I mean, I feel like people do.
I didn't mean to laugh when you said the magic of Christmas.
Yeah, it's okay. I laughed too, after I said that.
I don't know. I've never. Well, I don't know. I don't know if I've seriously said that, but I did talk to, how we said we would talk to our friends and people ask them about the magic of Christmas. So I did ask Tony Quintero, who was on our podcast before, and I asked him, what he thought about the magic of Christmas, and, what he thought about Santa Claus. Because we mostly always associate Santa Claus and the magic of Christmas, or just like presents in general with the magic of Christmas, or this holiday time with the magic of Christmas. And him and Jesus kind of brought up a really good point that thinking or believing that what was the phrase again? I don't know, my mind is blanking. Like the magic of Christmas is kind of a privileged way of thinking, or a way of growing up with privilege. Because maybe for certain people, they didn't have that family aspect of it. They didn't have the gatherings or the love, that maybe we had, because when we associate like Christmas time, we associate it with love and with our families, and we want to be around our families, but certain people didn't grow up with that. And so that was important for me to hear, because I did have some sort of privilege with maybe me not having my father is one thing, but I did have like my mother and my family here, and that was all I needed, because that's all that I wanted, and it was full of love. And so that was a good way of me seeing how I had that, and how maybe some people don't have that.
Yeah, that's valid. And I think it's important to acknowledge that, while also not taking away from your experience of having that that experience, right? Like you having that love that you experience with your family and being with your family, and for some people being with family is not a loving situation. And they're supposed to be your family. So it's definitely, I think that's important to acknowledge. Let's talk about Santa right quick. Did you believe in Santa growing up?
I did for a couple of years, if I'm going to be honest.
I did too.
But then I quickly, still as a child, realized that, Santa wasn't real. But I mean, it wasn't a big deal to me, I think. I mean, I guess maybe I would have wanted him to be real. Like, who doesn't want magic to be real? Like, let's be honest. Right? Where do we go for magic to be real? So I guess the reality of, like, there not being any magic may have affected me. I don't know. But, I don't know. It is also kind of weird to think about, having you mentioned this when we were prepping, like, having an old man come to your house and give you a present.
An old white man at that.
Yeah, an old white man come into your house and give you a random present, or a present that you wanted, or somehow knows all about you and comes into your house. Well, funny. So the whole thing with Santa too is like, so I grew up also believing in him, but when I spoke to my mom about Christmas, they didn't. I mean, in Mexico, you don't. At least for my family, you don't really talk about Santa very much. Maybe now a little bit more, but when my mom was growing up, El Niño Dios was the one that brought the gift. And so that was kind of the magic part of it that we're talking about here. Like, how like... Wait, El Niño Dios gave
bringing you a gift.
Your family over there presents?
El Niño Dios was the one that brought the toys, that gifted the kids, I guess. That was the magic part of it. And so you would lay El Niño Dios under the tree, and then on the 25th you'd find presents under the tree. Yeah. And so that was like, it was El Niño Dios, it wasn't Santa. So I guess for people it's different. I don't know. Yeah. I don't feel like who knows, right? Like when I have kids and I would have to talk with Jasmine, we have to come to an agreement as to what we're gonna do. But I'm not like stressing about it, but I don't know if I would actually incorporate Santa or talk about Santa or do El Niño Dios or do either one, or who knows? We'll see.
Interesting. Yeah, you got time. You got time. For me, I talked to my mom about Christmas in general, and they didn't get any presents during Christmas. They didn't talk about Santa Claus at all. It was more about, so for them, I talked to my mom, and she said that they did what she considered was traditional in terms of starting from December 16th. They would do posadas every single day.
Yeah, my family too.
And they would do it more as a community. And so as it would be mostly the children that participated in it. They would have like velas and dulces and cantos, but they didn't have any presents. They didn't do presents on the 25th or the 24th. But for them, it was Los Tres Reyes Magos. And in English, it's the Three Wise Men. And just a little bit of background with that is um, it's more of a religion aspect again. With my mom was telling me that so los tres Reyes Magos were known to be kings or reyes, where an angel came to them and said that they have to follow a star because that star leads to where the el rey, or the person who was going to save the entire world, was going to be born. And so that's where they followed. You know, that's where they followed the star. They found Jesus, and they gave him the three, like, mirra, whatever else they gave, gold and something else, as
it was three different gifts.
Yeah. And then, so yeah, that's what I grew up with. I don't know what I would teach my children.
That's on January 6th.
Yeah, that's January 6th, so she definitely did that, but nothing with Santa Claus. And with us, I think my mom wanted us to... Yeah, same
with my family.
You know, it was a thing with Santa, but it was never really about the gifts in general, so I kind of like that about me, that it wasn't, like, this time of the year isn't about presents, it's about spending time together. So I may incorporate that in some way. I don't know. When I have kids, I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, my mom was telling me too that they would go do las posadas like as a larger community, not just like her family, pero todo el vecindario, everybody would come together and rezaban every single day for those 9 days. And then it was like a religious festival, like las posadas. And so, yeah, so it just like, that's cool that your mom did that similar thing too. And how that was pretty common throughout Mexico. And they also celebrated los tres Reyes Magos, and they did the rosca, the bread, you know. And then there was this tradition that if you got, like, there was little figures of the three Reyes, little mini figures in the bread, and if in your slice you came out with one of those figures, then you would host a gathering or something, and on the 2nd of February. That was like a tradition that my family... What baby?
Isn't it the baby instead of the
Oh, is it not a figure? Is it the baby figure? Is it baby Jesus?
Yeah.
Or what is it?
Baby Jesus. Well,
okay, it's that little figure. Yeah.
Babies. I don't know if it's baby Jesus, but it's little babies.
You're right. I just remember seeing little figures. And, but there's 3 of them. There's 3 of them in the bread, right? That's what I understood.
It depends on the panaderia.
Oh, okay. My experience is that there were 3, and then if you got one, then you would host like a gathering or something, and
you would make
usually would serve tamales.
Those people would make the tamales for. There's another religious event that occurred after that in February where they would make the tamales for that event, but I don't remember what the religious activity is or religious event is.
Yeah. And it was specifically on February 2nd.
Yeah.
That's what my mom told me. So it was cool to hear my mom speak about, like, she spoke of it in such a way that she sounded like it was nostalgic for her. And it was like she was excited to share these things with me, which is really cool. And we've always talked about, like, her childhood and where she grew up and how she grew up. And so she says now the holidays feel different to her, but they always bring her certain memories of her childhood, and so that part brings her joy, that she still gets to bring some of those traditions over. But I mean, they've obviously changed for her in pretty drastic ways since she came here to the US and growing up in Mexico. Yeah, it was just very different, but she really enjoys the holidays and being with family and engaging in certain traditions together. And so it was cool to hear her talk about it. But yeah, so I would hope to, like, carry some of that with me, like, if I ever have children, and I don't know, pass that down. Who knows? But
yeah,
I think that'd be cool.
Wait, which would you pass down?
Probably, like, maybe singing together, having, like, a potluck, like, everybody brings some food, maybe laying little baby Jesus under the tree, something, I don't know. We'll see.
That's interesting that you put him under the tree.
Yeah, I don't know why. That was always a thing.
Yeah. You should send me a picture.
Although we haven't done that in a few years.
I would want to see him under the tree. It probably looks pretty.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we didn't really have, so a lot of people do the nacimientos, right? The nativity sets, or,
Mm-hmm.
right? Is that what that's called?
Yeah.
And so,
So you would just put the
and my
baby
family didn't
in
really
itself?
have that. It would be like in a little canastita with a little blanket, and it would be dressed up, and then we'd put like candies around him in the little basket, and then we'd put the basket kind of by the tree or under the tree.
Oh, and you would just do that on the 24th?
That would be on the 24th. We always celebrated on the 24th, and then at midnight we would say like Merry Christmas and whatever, whatever, and if we did Secret Santa, we would exchange presents then, and then on the 25th, everyone just kind of did their own thing in their own respective houses. So, like, we didn't really hang out much on the actual day. It was always on Christmas Eve.
Cool.
So yeah.
Yeah. For us, we had the nacimiento out starting December 16th, but we wouldn't put out the baby Jesus until Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
And then, same as you, just get together December 24th. And then we would have a recalentado December 25th.
Cool.
Yeah. But yeah, I definitely, I don't know what I would pass down to my children, but yeah, I guess time will tell. Time will tell what I pass down. But
time will tell.
My mom, after I spoke with my mom about it, she definitely showed me videos trying to find something similar to like what she experienced with the posadas in Mexico, but she definitely sounded really happy and excited. But I'm seeing how like they've tried to continue those traditions in terms of not on the same scale whatsoever in Mexico, but here in terms of like the religion aspect of it, still going to church on the 24th, still doing all these other things that seem familiar, but definitely not the same experience, especially as Mexico. Like the sense of community that she's spoken about is very different than here, even though like the Catholic community here is different in itself. I think that's different when it's actual people organizing it instead of just like the Catholic community. I think it's different.
Yeah, it's definitely different.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's nice to see the differences with how people do their things with their families, especially like other people who are Mexican, and just the traditions behind it. And I feel like a lot of people are just more, it's more about the presents and more about Santa Claus, and I feel like that's more because of children, maybe. So maybe all this spiritual happiness family thing might change when I'm older, but I'm really happy with my experience on how I grew up with Christmas, and just the value of spending time together, and the value of being around family and loved ones, and that's why I think this loss has been harder than usual, is because that's what it's centered.
Right.
So yeah.
And I don't think well, who knows, right? I don't know if it'll get easier. Maybe the processing and the handling it will become easier, but again, that grief I don't think ever really goes away, and so we just find ways to kind of keep going each day with it, carrying it with us. But I think this will be a good way to close it. I hope everyone is safe and warm and is able to spend this time, whether you celebrate or not, doing what brings you joy and peace. What are you doing?
I don't know why I'm eating.
I
just
realized
I'm like making noises when I'm chewing, so now I'm like, why was I eating?
It's okay.
Messing up the noise, like the audio.
No, you're good. So yeah, we want to thank y'all for joining us today. We hope you enjoyed this, and we always love to hear your comments, so please, or read your comments if you leave any, so please do. And yeah, that's it.
That's it. That's all we have. Thanks for sharing your experiences with me, Beans. I hope you have a great Christmas with your family, and all the listeners to have a great Christmas and a Happy New Year, because this is our last episode. And yeah, I hope everyone's dreams come true, and that you experience all the Christmas magic, and that Santa comes and gives you all the presents that you want, and even Los Tres Reyes Magos. And, New Year, new us.
And El Niño Dios.
And El Niño Dios. And La Virgen. And the Angelitos. And all the, I don't know. I'm just joking.
And
but...
everything you believe in or don't believe in, it's all we validate it, and we honor it, and we acknowledge it.
Whatever you celebrate, whatever you choose to do, we hope it brings you peace and love. And, you know, both of us, we're still trying to figure it out, too. We don't know what we're going to pass down to our children. That's okay. But we just know that we love to spend time with our family, and that's what we're going to do. And, you know, keep going. That's what we have. That's all we have.
That's right. All right, y'all. Please like, share, subscribe, comment. Let us know your thoughts, your feelings, anything. This is a safe space, and we wish y'all the best in these last few days of 2022.
Live it up.
We'll see you in the next year.
Shots.
Yes, live it up. We'll see you.
Shots.
Oh my. Okay, sure. Safely. Drink responsibly.
Oh, yeah. Whatever that means.
We'll see y'all in the new year.
Bye.
Bye, y'all.
See y'all next year. Bye.